你们两个，
哎，对不起了，我弄2点了，我们应该开始了。Hi everyone. I'm sure you all have dramatically increased your screen time during the pandemic. Though working from home may offer many benefits, it does have a major downside of sitting in front of your computer for the whole day. To help us with our ergonomics and spinal care during this period of increased computer use, we have invited Dr. Marisa Sum to talk to us today. Dr. Marisa Sum holds a Bachelor of Science in Clinical Nutrition from UC Davis and a doctorate degree from Life Chiropractic College West. She's also a mom, chiropractor, birth doula, nutritionist, ergonomics specialist, and the owner of Eden Valley Chiropractic in Castro Valley. After experiencing her own journey of healing from birth trauma, gut inflammation, vertigo, and depression, she was inspired to help others with the same things she healed from. Let's welcome Dr. Marisa.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm going to share my screen so that way I can show you this slideshow. So yes, just like Peggy said, this whole time period, the last 1.5 years through quarantine and COVID, everyone's been having to use technology so much more, whether it be just to connect with each other through Facebook and texting or for work. And then a lot of us have had to start working from home, which means having to sit on the couch, having to sit in the bed, or sitting at the kitchen table on a computer screen, and usually a laptop. And this is not our usual work conditions at an office or even at your school, I'm sure, with a regular desktop. So this whole phenomenon of sitting and having to look into a screen, a small screen, has been called tech neck, where the neck has to go to the technology. And so the title of my presentation is Tech Neck in Quarantine: How Quarantine Has Affected All of Our Spines and our neck and overall health, and what we can do to protect our spines and take our health back into our hands. So I'm a chiropractor, and chiropractic dates back over 100 years through the Americas, but actually bone setting has been happening in all over the world, in every country. It's a very ancient art, actually, but chiropractic is like the modern form of it, of adjusting vertebra, moving bones back into the proper place so that the whole body, from the inside out, from the center of the being outward to the arms and hands and legs, is more in alignment and then more connected and healthier. I'd like to start a little bit with my own story. I'll come back to this slide in a second. My story begins actually from when I was born. It's a part of why I decided to be a chiropractor today. I was born butt first. Most babies are supposed to come out head first, but I came out bottom first, which means that I was breech. And luckily I was able to still come out vaginally and I didn't have to come out C-section, but my head actually got stuck as I was coming out of the inlet, got stuck here. And so then the obstetrician had to pull me out, had to pull my spine to get me out. And so then I was born with a birth trauma called torticollis. And that's what Peggy was mentioning in my biography. I was born like this. My whole body was torqued like this. And it affected my neck, it affected my spine. I wasn't able to breastfeed because my jaw was actually so tight from all of the pulling in the neck that I couldn't really latch for breastfeeding. And then I was crying. I was colicky. That's what my family told me, that I was crying night and day all the time. Finally, when I was 5 months old, my grandfather looked at me and he noticed that I was only ever looking one direction. And he asked my parents, Why doesn't she look the other way? Why doesn't she turn this way? Well, my father is actually a chiropractor as well. And so he began checking my spine, and he noticed that, yes, I have misalignments throughout the spine. So when I was 5 months old, I started getting chiropractic adjustments along with seeing a physical therapist for stretching the muscle. I've had many different procedures done, and I've found that chiropractic was the #1 thing to help me keep my spine healthy so that I can be functioning and not totally bent like this. So between chiropractic and lifestyle changes, like what I'll be talking about with ergonomics and exercise, it's kept my spine the most healthy that it's ever been. Fast forward 20 years, when I was a student at UC Davis, I was on my computer all of the time, a lot like how everyone else is, right? I would be at school in my classroom like this, typing on my laptop, right? With the tech neck, you see? And then I would go to my desk job and I'd sit at the desk like this, typing. And then I would go home, I would get in my car like this, right? And then I would go home and I'd lay in bed and type on my laptop my papers, right? So you see what was happening here. So all of this positioning, the tech neck, along with my health history, what happened to me when I was born, I started having lots of pains in my arms. And I'm sure a lot of you can actually relate to this, having some aching in the wrists, pain in the hands, maybe pain in the shoulders, soreness here, maybe headaches. I had all of that when I was 20 years old. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening to me? And so I went home, I asked my dad, my arms, they hurt so much. And he looked at the joints in my arms. He noticed that the joints were all fine. These bones were fine, everything was fine here. But he noticed that I had a lot of swelling in my upper back. I had a bump of swelling here. And so maybe you can even try checking that on yourself too. And you probably have seen it in other people as well, swelling, a little bit of softness on the upper back between the skin and the bone. He explained to me that swelling along the spine actually means that there's a dysfunction in the spine. It means that one of the bones in the spine is out of alignment, like this. So like if this is proper alignment, where one bone is on top of another, then the nervous system inside is comfortable and safe and can function properly. But if there's a bone that's out of alignment, it's going to put some pressure on the nerve that comes out of the spinal cord. And then that's an injury. So then there's swelling and scar tissue that develop around all of this. So he explained to me, this is the issue. It's impinging the nerve going down into my arms. And that's what causes the pain in my shoulders and in my arms and into my head. So then he started adjusting the vertebra in the spine so that they're back into the right place and there's no more pinching on the nerve. And that pain started going away and I could use my hands again. And then after that, I went to chiropractic school myself and started getting adjusted very regularly, like once a week or more, just to make sure that everything stays in alignment, along with exercising and fixing my posture and ergonomics. For example, I got a rolly backpack instead of having it on my back, things like that, and taking the pressure off my shoulders. And not only did the pain go away in my hands, but also the swelling went away in my back. That's very interesting. So I don't have that bump anymore, but I always check myself to see if I'm getting any swelling there. That's something that we can all do at home. So that's a lot about why I do what I do. And that's why I'm so thankful to be here to share this with all of you. Can you please take something on your desk, like a mug or something, just an item, something that you can hold in your hand? A water bottle, yeah, perfect, exactly. and hold it like this, like maybe put it in your hand like this. Yeah, that's great. And then hold it backwards and put it over your shoulder, Peggy, like this. Yeah, perfect, like that. So pretend like the bottle is your head and your neck is your wrist, okay? Easy, it's not too hard holding it like this, right? Where the weight is over your shoulder, it's over your center. Okay. Now, go like this. Okay. Okay. It's a different experience, right? Oh, hey guys. It's a little bit heavier. And so then it takes more muscle to hold the head now. Right? This is tech neck. This is what it's like, everybody. So put the head back over the body. This is where it's supposed to be in the body. And you can see now in this picture, you see how the brain, the head, it's right on top of the body. The neck has that natural curve like that. But with technology, we have to get our eyes very close to it usually. And then a lot of times it makes us do this. And then, ouch, right? Thank you so much. So I want to show you a physiology lesson. This is a spine. This is the cervical spine here, the thoracic spine here, the lumbar spine, and then the pelvis. Up here is the brain. Imagine like the brain is a dog, and the tail on the dog runs down the spine. That's what the spinal cord is. It is the same tissue as the brain, actually. It's the central nervous system, the brain and spinal cord. And so you can see in this other picture where there's just the nerves in the woman, the nervous system. The nervous system is exactly how the brain talks to everything else in the body. It's how it communicates with the heart to beat. It communicates with the gastrointestinal system so that you can digest and absorb food. It communicates with your hands and your muscles. It communicates with your skin so that you can feel things, hot or cold, pain. And so that's why we focus on the spine in chiropractic and the spinal health, because it is the gateway, it's the freeway between the brain and the rest of the body. It's exactly how the brain controls everything in the body. This is an image of what I was explaining with the model. That these are two vertebrae. There's a spinal cord inside, and then when a vertebra goes out of alignment, it puts pressure on the nerve. That's why massage does not always work for these kinds of things, because it's just not quite deep enough. The spine is deeper than the muscle. And often the muscle gets tight because the bone is out of alignment, and so then the muscles around get tight to try to hold the vertebra so it doesn't get worse. But then it's just tight like that. And so the way to correct it is actually by adjusting it back into place. And you can see in this MRI image that the disc right here, you see how the spinal bones, they're actually starting to curve the other way like we were showing with the ball. And it's pinching on the spinal cord here. It's putting pressure on the spinal cord. So it's my job to locate this and then help slowly correct that. Okay. So I'd like you to look at my screen here for right now. We all start like this. What is this?
Sperm.
Sperm and an egg.
Yeah.
Right? We all start like this. Next, they come together and billions of cells flourish. Next, this is the important part. The notochord develops. This is what happens in the embryo. It's called a notochord. Notochord. Once this develops in the embryo, then a cascade of development occurs in the fetus. Then we start to look like a tadpole. What do you think this and this become in the embryo, in the fetus?
3 months.
This becomes the brain,
Oh,
and this becomes the spinal cord. The very first thing that develops in a baby, in a human. And this texture is a little bit like slightly cooked egg whites. It's very fragile, which is why then plates grow around it like this. And that's the skull. So the skull is actually not one big bone. It's several different bones that come together in sutures to allow for the brain to expand. And then bones grow around the spinal cord, bones and discs. There is no other structure, no other organ in the entire body that has a complete bone encasing than the central nervous system. The brain and the spinal cord has the skull and the spine bones, right? Isn't that interesting?
yeah.
The heart and the lungs have the rib cage, but the ribs are actually very flimsy compared to the skull and the spine bones, which shows just how important the central nervous system is. Next, neural buds grow out from the spinal cord like this. Each neural bud contains the stem cells to develop into a particular organ. This can be the heart. This could be the lungs, a kidney, and a kidney. There was a study done on rhesus monkeys where they cut the nerve to one of the kidneys and they attached an electrode, like a circuit. And they noticed that there was signaling, electrical signaling coming out from this nerve, depicting how the nervous system works like electricity in the body. That's how the nerves talk to each other. It's by plus and minus ions that jump between cells, like a battery. What do you think happened to this kidney after they cut it?
I don't know.
That's okay. The kidney died. It couldn't grow. All the cells might be there, but if the brain no longer cannot talk to it anymore to coordinate blood and growth, then it has no more energy and it cannot function anymore. So this is exactly how we still work as human beings today. Everything starts in here in the brain, goes down the spinal cord and out to the body and back to the brain all the time, like the speed of light. Now, if we fast forward 9 or 10 months, we get a baby. Big baby, right?
Yep.
Big baby. Now that you know about the spinal cord and it being inside of the spine, see the spinal cord inside the holes. the yellow cord inside. And then the posture, the overall shape of the bones, okay? Babies come out like this. They're like C shapes, right? They're fetal position. They're inside the womb, like this. Inside the mother's womb, just in their own world, right?
Yes.
And then they come out, and one of the first things that they do is they go like that. They look up just a little bit. They look up to see other. It's not just them in the world, there is other. There's mother, there's father, there's grandfather, there's community. It's to get the 5 senses up, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the ears, right? So then it's the baby's job for the next 5 months to develop neck muscles. Like this, to keep the face up. This curve in the neck, I like to call it awareness. So we can be aware of others, right? Okay, so now that we have a 5-month-old baby, and it looks like this now, right? It's different. Okay, and it's sitting there being very aware, watching, observing everybody. Then it wants to go grab the ball, wants to go play. So then it starts to crawl. It starts to crawl like this. Right? And then it starts to walk and jump and run. This is a very different shaped spine than when it was first born. Right? This curve in the low back is for participation, for running, jumping, playing. All the nerves that come out of here, they go into the legs, into the muscles in the legs to activate the legs. It's drive, it's participation, getting what you want, right? The 2 curves that we're born with, the thoracic cage and the pelvis. This one, the thoracics, holds the lungs and the heart and the rib cage around to protect it. So then this one here, it's about inspiration, expiration. It's about passion and it's about survival, which is why when we're stressed out, even on our computers, when we're trying to make a deadline, we go, right? Like that. Then here in the pelvis, we all come from the pelvis. This is our first home. It's identity, family, our work, who we are. Okay. So these are the 4 curves of the spine, and this is the foundation to the class, that you understand that there are 4 healthy curves of the spine. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is what we need to learn how to maintain while we're sitting at our computers or sitting in the car or anywhere, really, standing anytime, laying down. Okay. So now, ergonomics. Ergonomics is the study of bringing the material world to human beings, bringing technology to us, making it human friendly so that we are not going to the machine and having tech neck, right? You can see in this example on the screen, this young man in the neck, from the shoulder to his ear, the red line, you can see how his head has moved forward. And normal is in the image next to him, where there's the green line and the ear should be over the shoulder. And then you can see the 4 curves in that image in the neck, upper back, low back, and pelvis. Because his head was leaning forward almost 1.5 inches, his head was feeling like it was almost triple the amount of weight, double the amount of weight, 50 pounds instead of 20 pounds. And then you can see how after treatment and also after changing his ergonomics, his head came back over his shoulders, and the weight of his head came down significantly to almost the weight that it's supposed to be, taking a lot of the stress off of his body. So, oh, and this one too shows that as well, but in x-rays. So the red line here is where the neck has moved forward. That's where he is. And then the green line is ideal for him, where the head is over the body and there's that healthy neck curve. On the right, you can see where the red line where he is almost exactly where his ideal is now. Much better, much healthier for his body. This is the kind of work that I do. I do pre and post x-rays because I love having demonstrable results. I want to make sure that a person is objectively getting better. I love it when people feel better, of course, but I want to know that truly is your body healthier, and we use x-rays for that. These are examples of what tech neck can look like and what can cause tech neck. You can see the woman leaning over her desk, looking into her laptop, how the spine has to lean forward so much and it makes it so heavy on the body. And then we get stuck like that because that puts pressure on the nerves, just like this model. It puts pressure on the nerve, and then there's scar tissue that will develop all around this to try to glue it to maintain the posture, but then you're glued stuck like that, which is why it's so hard usually to fix it by ourselves. For ergonomics, if you're sitting at your desk or at your kitchen table, you want to think about if you're sitting at 90 degrees. 90 degrees. 90 degrees at the hips and at the knees and also at the elbow, right here. So let's say this is my kitchen table because we're working from home. Kitchen table, my kitchen chair. How can I protect my 4 curves while doing my work today? Well, I have my laptop and I can try to put my hands on my laptop to see if I have 90 degrees at my elbows here. What do you think? Does this look like 90 degrees?
No.
No, right?
So we probably need to lift the chair a little bit higher.
Exactly. So let's pretend this is not an office chair. Let's pretend it's a kitchen chair, just in case, right? In case someone at home doesn't have a movable, adjustable chair. You can take a bath towel like this, fold it up, and put it behind you on the back side of the chair like that. And then sit on it and it can lift you up. Just like that. Okay, it can be very simple. And do it, maybe you have a couple towels like that, lifting you up so that your wrists can be, your arms can be at 90 degrees. So this is still not 90 degrees for me. So I'm going to use this. This is a seat wedge. I recommend this to everybody. Everybody who sits, definitely get one of these. You can get it on Amazon for about $16. All you need is a simple wedge. It does not need to be very fancy. Just where it's higher on one side and then smaller on the other side. You don't need the circle or the waves for the legs. You don't need any of that stuff, just a simple wedge, that's it. And you can put that back here, even with your towel, and then sit on it, and just like that, I'm so much higher. And then I can go to my computer like this. This is much closer to 90 degrees, right? Okay, but now let's look at my eyes, right? I have to look down to see the screen like this, even if I tilt it more like that. You see how my neck has to go down the other way, right?
Yeah.
This is exactly like the ball example. Right? So this is going to cause strain on my shoulders very soon. So what I recommend, if you have a laptop at home, then order a separate keyboard and get a nice big one. Get one that's really wide, nice and wide for you. Get an ergonomic one. Put the laptop up on books and boxes. Stack all your old books. Take the box that your keyboard comes in the mail and put it underneath your laptop so that your laptop becomes a desktop screen instead. And then order a mouse and try to get a more ergonomic mouse, for example. You can sit like this. Better, right?
Yeah.
And this is still too low, actually. This should be higher. So I would get more books and boxes and bring this up to here. So the screen is at eye height. And my eyes go right into the middle of the screen. That way you don't have to look down at all. You just have to glance down sometimes when you like are typing. But that's, you look straight ahead, type like this, and have your spine be in neutral, where there's the four curves that are protected. Okay, so do this with me. Scoot back from your desk, just so you have some space, and then let your arms fall by your side, and raise your hands up to 90 degrees in your elbows. Okay. And then look straight ahead and pretend like you're typing. Type, type, type. If you notice, the fingers are actually pretty far down from your vision. It's in the peripheral vision. This is where you want your keyboard to be. And then you can bring your hands into center. This is where it should be, your thumb should touch about at your belly button. Okay? So this is what you want. And you just apply that to your computer, your desk situation, and try to get it as best as you can. So maybe even make this higher or lower, and then, yeah. And if your chair is too high, let's say like it's way too high, my legs are having to open like that, this is not 90 degrees anymore over here, right? And that's gonna put pressure on the back of my legs. So then I can put boxes underneath my feet to raise my feet up too. Okay, so just a lot of vertical shifting, but you can use boxes and towels to help you with that. If you have a standing desk, that would be the best thing actually, is if you have a standing one and you can just apply the same principles to your countertop, 90 degrees at the elbow, like that. And then the computer screen would be way up on a tower of books that you can see straight into the screen and type like that. And if the low back hurts you while you're standing like this for a very long time, you can open the cupboard that's by your feet or put a box at your feet and put one foot up and stand there like this. And that shifting of the weight will help your low back. Okay. There are also some other special chairs if you have the money to be able to buy a special chair. There are some chairs that you can lean on your shin, and then there's a seat here so that it helps you sit up like this. That's an option too that I think would be good. But really, I think the best thing is actually having a standing desk that you make at home. You can just clear off 2 feet by 2 feet on your countertop. Stack of books, laptop, keyboard, have a standing desk, and then sit when you need to take a break. So let's say standing for 1 hour and then sit for 5 minutes and drink some tea.
还有那个确实
Sitting and then taking standing breaks. It's actually better to stand longer. Then it's almost like exercise too. Okay, so that's sitting ergonomics at the desk. Another thing I want to talk about is actually lying down ergonomics. So the mattress. I break a lot of hearts and wallets when I talk about mattresses. I do not like Tempur-Pedic anything. Foam, foam pillows, foam mattresses, no. It might feel good in the beginning when you first lay down on it, but then over time they always sink. Even if it's firm, they sink like this, like a sponge, right? Their slogan is correct. It forms to you. But if your spine is like a modern person spine in quarantine on technology, most likely you've lost some of your curves. Most likely the neck is more leaning forward like this. I see this all the time now. I see it in high school students. Severe. This is called anterior head carriage. Severe anterior head carriage where their head is stuck like this, the neck. Okay, this is very serious actually. I see everybody like this now. Very rarely do I see someone with a proper neck curve. It's really serious nowadays. If the neck is like this now, right, then that is going to create all that tension on the body, the shoulders, and then the nerves going into the hands and all the organs here in the heart and lungs. The scar tissues keeping this stuck. If the spine has lost its curves and then you go in bed like this and it forms to you, and yeah, it'll just enable this. It just keeps you like this. It doesn't actually become therapeutic anymore. It's just holds you like this. Same thing with your pillow. Most pillows are like this one, where it's just a big fluff rectangle or square, right?
Yes.
And then we'll lay down on it like this, and it bends the neck forward, lifts the chin, or it pushes the chin down and it lifts the head like that, right? So now try with me another thing. Sit, just stay sitting, and then tilt your chin up a little bit to extend your neck, and take a deep breath in. Easy, right?
Yes.
Now, tuck the chin down, touch your chin to your chest, and breathe in. Not as easy. It's harder, right?
Yes.
So that it closes down on that trachea, on the airway, it creates a lot of problems. And so imagine doing this all night for 6 to 8 hours, right? And then you wake up feeling like you're not rested because you didn't sleep well, or the neck is sore, or the shoulder is sore, or you have a headache, right? So for pillows, for sleeping, actually, I think it's better to try to get a very thin pillow, or maybe even no pillow. I don't use a pillow. I sleep on my back and I don't use a pillow. And I just sleep like this. Because when we're on a hard surface, then the bones can settle into their proper place. And sleeping actually becomes therapeutic then. And if you think back, no matter wherever any of us are from, but probably most of us have heritage from China, all of our families, maybe 1 to 3 generations ago, were all sleeping on the floor or on a piece of wood, hard wood, and maybe a little bit of cushion on top. And that was it, right? Isn't that incredible? And everyone around the world was like this, either on the floor or on a piece of wood, or maybe some hay on the floor. Hi, Gary. we were all sleeping on hard surfaces. So this whole notion of sleeping on a cloud is something that's very new. So just something to consider, since a lot of us spend so much time at home now, that the rule of 90 when we're sitting at the desk is so important for spine ergonomics, and so is sleeping, because that's when our body heals. And so I recommend getting something firm to sleep on, so that way the spine can open up again. So let's say we were sitting like this, right over the computer, then we can go into the bed and try to reset the spine on something firm. I actually have a term for this positioning when we're like this and we're on our computer or on our phone. I call it shrimping. That we're shrimping, that we're all shrimping. Shrimping on the computer, shrimping at the kitchen table, shrimping, waiting in line. We're waiting in line now, like this. Shrimping, right? Shrimping. You see the kids shrimping like this, right?
Yes.
So now that you're aware of the 4 curves, just apply that to when you're sitting at home. And even on the sofa, you can get one of the cushions, the pillows next to the sofa, and put it under you and sit on top of it. And that will help boost you up out of the seat. Okay? So this is just about how it really is up to us to change our habits. Technology and cell phones came so fast, just in the last 5 years, boom. We're all just so much using technology all of the time, especially in the last 1.5 years. So we just sort of, as humans, need to catch up. Thank you, Peggy. And catch up and try to keep our bodies healthy while these lifestyle changes are happening around us. And then exercise is very important. It's what helps keep the spine in the right place. So my job as a chiropractor is to adjust the vertebra into the right place. First find the one that is out of alignment, causing trouble, and then adjust it into the right place, loosening the scar tissue around it. And then exercise and ergonomics, posture, the way we sleep, is how we help keep the spine healthy, how we hold it there. Usually exercise is not strong enough to break through scar tissue and pull bones back into the right place, unless you've been exercising extremely intensely, like an extreme athlete for most of your life. But that's why me as a professional, I align the vertebra, and then I make sure all of my patients take this class actually at my office, so that they know what to do. They have the tools to have good ergonomics and protect their spine now that they can move the different vertebra in the body again, and it's not glued down. And then we go over exercises so that they can get stronger as well. I'm gonna go back to this. Let's go into some exercises. If you've done yoga, you've probably seen this before. It's called cat-cow. So you get on hands and knees like this. Bring your wrists underneath your shoulders and your knees under your hips. And then give yourself a good amount of space as well, so that your belly can drop down between the knees, this, and let the spine extend and look up, and you breathe in. This is called cow, so you pretend like you have udders, and then cat, where you push the spine up to the ceiling. through your arms, through the shoulders, all the way up. And exhale, and then drop the belly again and looking up. And then switch again. Looking down through your legs, breathing out. So just doing this, and then you can go side to side with it. You can get creative and just feel into wherever you need to loosen the body. That's called cat-cows. I recommend doing that 10 times in the morning and 10 times at night. So that when you wake up, do cat-cow 10 times. It gets the spine nice and juicy, gets fluid into the discs between the bones so that you're nice and flexible and warmed up for the day. Your core is warmed up. And then 10 times when you go to sleep, so that in case, just like most of us in the modern world, you're having to shrimp and do this, right? Then you can release the spine again and then go to sleep on your firm surface so that the spine can open up again and be ready for the next day. Another exercise would be anything actually for the back, for the upper back and the back of the arms and the sides of the body as well, the core. If you have weights, that's great. If not, you can use the floor. Anything where you're extending the spine. So you can try to pretend like you have a pencil between your shoulder blades and pinch the shoulders together, the shoulder blades, the scapula, pinch the pencil. So it's not just bringing the arms back, it's actually pinching the scapula together to activate the rhomboids. If you have an elastic band, you can stand on the elastic band and pull up like this. You can pull up and push up on the elastic band like that. You can pull down on the elastic band. You put it over a door. Put it over a door and pull down like this. They'll activate the back, the trapezius. You can also use the ground and do a side plank if you can, like this.
This is a hard one.
This is a hard one. You can start on your knees like this and just make sure your elbow is underneath your shoulder and you'll hold right here, this whole side of your body, and that's going to be good for your shoulders. And then switch. And if this is too easy, then you can get on your feet. And if that's too easy, then you can get on your hand like this. Okay. Same thing here, you can do this on your elbows and knees first. And you just want to make sure that your low back is rounded and that it's not sinking down like this. You do not want to do this. This will hurt your low back. You want to tuck your belly button into the spine. And if this begins to be too easy, you can go up on your toes and then up on your hands. All of these core exercises and back exercises will help protect your spine, especially because while you're on the computer, you're using all the muscles in the front of the body, the chest, the pecs, and the front of the deltoids. And it flexes, it contracts all of these muscles here too much. And so the way to undo that is actually to strengthen the opposing muscles, the muscles on the back side. Squeeze the ones on the back to help open the chest again, along with stretching here. So to thank you all for attending this course, I'd like to give you an offer. If you're interested in having in seeing if you're a candidate for chiropractic care, if you're interested in seeing if I can help you with what you're going through, then just call the office and tell them that you attended the CLDTA conference and that I gave you this offer for a free examination. Normally it's $100. It's a full neurological and orthopedic exam done by myself, but because you attended this course and are participating in your own health, trying to take your own health into your hands to see what you can do, I want to give you this gift. And so it'll be completely for free, that first examination. And from there, if we find that I do find misalignments through the spine and that it is related to what you're going through and I can help you, then I'll go further and we'll take an x-ray, because I don't like to guess. I want to know exactly what we're doing, so that way every adjustment is most efficient and useful for you. You can go to my website right there, Eden Valley Chiropractic. My phone number is 510-538-1111, and my staff is here to assist you, and just let them know that you came to the CLDTA course for the free exam, and they'll set you up. Thank you so much for having me. And I'll be checking the YouTube below to answer any questions in the comments.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Since we still have time, so is it okay, like open to ask question? Anybody has any questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I do have questions because like I have kids, I have teenager kids. So
Oh.
if they want to get assessment, like how many x-ray do they need to take, like neck or spinal? Yeah.
You know, people are unique, you know, if let's say I don't find any misalignments in a particular area of the body, then I probably don't need to see it. However, most people these days, because of all of us being in the modern world, all of us are on technology, like every single person who uses a phone, most of us drive, most of us have computers. I do find misalignments throughout the spine for most people. And so then that would be a full spine image. It would be from here, from right here, basically down to the hip, right here.
To the hip.
Just like that. And for children, I usually don't need x-rays for kids under 7 years old. But if I feel like there's something going on and I can't quite figure it out, again, I don't like to guess. I would rather just take a small little picture of an area, so that way I can adjust them properly and they can get better faster. And the machine that I have is all up to date. It has the new gadolinium metal in it, which is then much lower dose in radiation. So it's just like when you go through the airport and you stand in that thing and it circles around you. It's like that.
Okay.
Okay. So it's not radiation. And I make sure everyone has protection and everything in the right places.
Okay.
Yes, that's a great question about your children, because wow, the high school students and the people in their 20s these days, because they all grew up. Technology. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's so much anterior head carriage. It's surprising. Most chiropractors now, we have never seen it like this before. So very interesting. And also there seems to be a lot of like anxiety in their generation. A lot of them seem very anxious, and there's a lot of medication happening for them for anxiety, and I think it's connected. It's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody has any questions? You can turn on your microphone. If you have question, you can ask it directly. Okay.
黑人那个留言那边有一个人问了一个问题哦。
Okay, 我看. Okay, there's a question in the chat. So how about back support while using laptop?
Sure. So she's probably asking about the lumbar support.
We cannot hear you.
可能是网络问题哦。
谁的问题？
Marisa, we cannot hear you. We cannot hear you.
他掉线了是不是？
宝箱配人是不是掉线了？
是黑人是 Marisa
I
掉
think
线。
I think there is some like technical problem because I can see you still online and I don't know what's going on with the sound. So it's okay. I think it's probably like time to end the speech. Yeah.
Marisa
So
is back.
so
请他再回答一次吧。
Dr. Marisa, can you like speak something? Still cannot hear it. Cannot hear.
But we can't hear you. So
all of us cannot hear you. But anyway, I think it's probably time to end the speech. So thank you so much for giving us so much information about this. And then thank you for your offer to everyone for the exam and the assessment. Yeah. So if everybody has question, welcome to just email, check Dr. Marisa's website and code in and to ask for the assessment. And if you have question, you can like ask through the FB or IG to ask Mr. Dr. Sum. Yeah, thank you so much.
Marisa, thank you so much, Marisa.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
We are so grateful.
To have you here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marisa.
Thank
See you.
See you. I think everyone benefit a lot. Yeah. Thank you.
So, OK， 那个直播是不是现在要关了 ？Thank you, Marisa. Yeah. 宝箱